Welcome back. I had a really fun night at the Rialto's Luck Be a Lady Gala last month, where they unveiled their remarkable capital campaign to raise $1 million to renovate the historic theater. And here to talk about how you can make your mark on Tucson history and help support the improvements is Development Director Julie Ragland. Julie, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me, Alex.
Nice to have you. I saw you up on that stage announce this to much fanfare. Everyone was so excited to hear about this, and for good reason. I mean, it's a huge part of the community, and you're here to sort of tell us why it's so important and also give us some of the history behind the Rialto. So let's start with the history.
That's right. So the Rialto Theater opened in 1920. It opened as a vaudeville theater, and a few years later showed the first talking films, and throughout the years was a very popular show house and movie theater. In the mid-century, as people started moving out of downtown, it became a furniture warehouse. Through the years, it was a Spanish language cinema house. At one time, it was a pornographic theater. So it's had a lot of different iterations. In 1984, there was a boiler explosion during a movie. Luckily, no one was hurt, but it condemned the theater. So the theater sat vacant for many years. It was almost demolished, and by some grace it wasn't. It was left standing. And then in the mid-1990s, a couple of gentlemen bought the theater, and they reopened it as a concert venue. Even though back then it didn't have air conditioning, it was pretty rustic. And then in the early 2000s, it was established as a foundation. So it was created into a nonprofit, the Rialto Theater Foundation, under Rio Nuevo. And so that's really what started it in its new iteration as a nonprofit, a historic nonprofit theater. In 2014, the foundation opened up the R Bar, which is a small bar across the alleyway. Yes, it's a beautiful bar. It has some beautiful metalwork. And so we are able to connect the big theater, the Rialto, with the R Bar during shows. In 2015, the Rialto Theater Foundation purchased the theater building with help of our bank. And so we now own our building. And in 2016, we opened 191 Toole, which is a smaller concert venue on Toole Avenue, just south of the railroad tracks. So now we have a smaller warehouse venue. We're continuing to upgrade and renovate that venue as well.
Wow. So. See, it's just growing. I mean, it's like a cat. It had 9 lives, and it just keeps on giving and keeps on giving and growing.
Very much so.
I know it's been a staple of my life living here in Tucson, you know, going there for a concert during the weekend, grabbing a drink at R Bar. I mean, and that's just part of the experience, because now it's going to become even better thanks to this capital campaign. It's called I Rock the Rialto. So what are the goals of the capital campaign?
So the Rialto Theater Foundation now presents almost 400 shows a year. So about 70% of those we present at the Rialto Theater. About 20% of those are at 191 Toole, and then the rest are at other venues that we partner with around downtown Tucson. But so now we're really seeing a very high volume of shows, a really high volume of patrons, and it's been decades since the Rialto had any significant renovations. So the goal of the I Rock the Rialto campaign is to raise $1 million for some significant renovations to the theater. So the first phase of that will be completely renovated, upgraded, and expanded restrooms. So I know all of our female patrons are especially excited about that. And then the next phase will entail renovations to the auditorium floor. We'll be tiering the floor, so it'll be more comfortable to stand and sit on when we seat the theater. And we can also, with that configuration, put tables and chairs out, so it'll expand our capacity to do rentals, to offer the theater for weddings, quinceañeras, that sort of convention events, that sort of thing. And then we're also going to reconfigure and consolidate the bars, the main bars. So there'll now be one walk-around bar with visibility from the lobby into the auditorium.
That's incredible. I mean, just looking at these mock-ups, it is going to be a state-of-the-art venue, and it's just going to take that experience to the next level. And so, like I said at the beginning, people really have a chance to make a mark on Tucson history, on the historic theater. How can they get involved and really help you guys complete this?
So we've already raised over $700,000 toward this campaign with some really great
Wow.
substantial leadership gifts that have come through from leaders in our community, individuals, our board of directors. And so now we're asking the public to help us complete this project. And so we're asking people to make a donation of any size. This is a 3-year campaign, so you can make a pledge and pay that over 3 years. You can pay in monthly installments or annual installments, whatever works for you. And so you can go online. We've got a website set up. RialtoTheater.com, Rock the Rialto. You can pledge, you can donate, you can give me a call and we'll work things out. So, you know, with the public's help, we're confident that we can close out this campaign and then we'll be celebrating the theater's 100th anniversary in 2020.
Wow.
So and you'll see here that that Mark Kelly and Gabby Giffords are our honorary co-chairs for this campaign. We're really honored and lucky to have them backing this. They love the Rialto. They're there all the time for shows. And so, you know, to have their support really shows how important and viable this project is.
Hugely. Two notable Tucsonans there. They get it. They get that this is such a big deal in our community, and people, like I said, have a chance to get involved and really get on board with the Rialto Theater. So thank you so much for coming on, telling us about this. People have time to give to this campaign, and they really should, because it's going to improve it so much. So, Julie, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Alex.
Absolutely. Now, help support the I Rock the Rialto Capital campaign by logging on to rialtotheater.com/rocktherialto. And for any questions, call 520-740-1000 extension 6.